Hello and welcome to BNC special coverage, Justice for Daunte Wright. I'm Kelly Wright. Dale Walters has the week off. Court has resumed in the trial of the former white police officer charged in the shooting death of Daunte Wright during a traffic stop earlier this year. Last week, we heard emotional testimony from Daunte Wright's girlfriend. On Friday, Police Sergeant Mychal Johnson, who assisted during Daunte Wright's traffic stop, testified about what he saw on that day. Jurors also viewed video captured by Johnson's body cam. Here's a live picture now from inside the Hennepin County Courthouse in Minneapolis. The medical examiner just testifying, the judge now standing to perhaps bring on another witness. We're also waiting for Daunte's father and brother to testify, and when they do, we will carry that for you live. Meanwhile, BNC's legal analyst Laura McNeal joins us now to talk us through the case and some of the testimony. Laura, good of you to join us this morning as always. Kim Potter's former supervisor said, under the circumstances, Potter was justified in using deadly force. I got to ask you, what are the laws surrounding this type of situation, using deadly force at a traffic stop with someone you already have detained?
So essentially, officers are allowed to use deadly force, meaning if the force has to be proportionate to the level of threat. And the argument that Officer Johnson was making during his testimony is that because he and Officer Lucky were technically inside the car that was still on while they were trying to subdue Daunte Wright, at any point in time, had he pulled off, according to Officer Johnson's testimony, they would have been drugged and possibly subjected to serious injury or death. And so he said under those circumstances, it would have been justified if Kim Potter had pulled her gun intentionally as opposed to her taser in order to save their lives.
So, look, the jury saw on video Potter's emotional reaction to shooting Daunte Wright. What kind of impact, I've asked this before and it's so important to keep asking it, what kind of impact will her emotional response have on the jury in deciding this case?
You know, it is so crucial. Unless Kim Potter has a terrible testimony when she does testify about her state of mind the day that Daunte Wright was killed, how the mistake happened, she's going to be acquitted, in my opinion, based on my legal opinion, because the one thing that resonates with jurors is remorse. Empathy for a victim. And oftentimes, unfortunately, in homicides, we don't see that level of empathy and remorse, and that humanizes Kim Potter, and that feeds into, for the jury's notion of, you know what, she's just like you and I. She made a mistake, a deadly mistake, but she really didn't mean to do it. And so that really puts the jurors on the hot seat in saying, you know, is it really fair for us to hold her liable for a crime, for manslaughter, for what was honestly a mistake based on their interpretation of that very emotional and moving video footage. If she didn't have this footage, I wouldn't be so confident about an acquittal, but it's pretty impressionable for a jury.
Yeah, final question, I got under a minute. The medical examiner said the toxicology report showed no Xanax in Daunte Wright's system, only marijuana. Why or what type of relevance does this bring to the case?
It's very relevant. Even though the medical examiner just said the cause of death was a gunshot wound to the heart, the defense is still trying to paint Daunte Wright as a druggie and as that he had several drugs in his system, including Xanax, and that's not the case. They tested him for hundreds of drugs. He had an acceptable use of what people deem acceptable of marijuana in his system. That's important in showing that he wasn't erratic and unable to be detained. It helps the prosecution say the level of force used was unnecessary.
BNC legal correspondent and analyst Laura McNeal, thank you.